Hey guys, Hayden here again from Alarm System Store, and today we're going to be going over the enrollment process for the new ADC SVR210 that we introduced last week. Basically, I'm going to run you through how you can integrate the SVR into your alarm.com account through the phone app. There are some things that you do have to do on a computer though through the website login. So when I did the CSVR videos that we covered a few weeks ago, maybe a couple months, basically I did everything through the website login because that is the only place you have full access to the SVR. But essentially, today I wanted to show you how you can actually connect it to your alarm.com account through the app. You just have to associate cameras with the SVR through the website login, and then if you want to set up any additional settings, you do have to do that on the site. So basically what I'm going to show, I'm going to screen record enrolling the device through my phone, and then I'm going to show the footage that I used for the CSVRs, because once it is enrolled on your alarm.com account, it works exactly the same. The only difference, like I mentioned in our last video, is this is only 8 channel, which means it can only hold up to 8 cameras. So I might mention 16 cameras in that later footage. Just know this model, 8 cameras only. So anyway, give me 1 second. I'm going to start the screen recording on my phone, and then we'll go through how you can enroll this device. All right, so basically, like I mentioned, you're just going to bring up your alarm.com account like I have here, and then to enroll the SVR210, you do need to go to the video section, or you can go into your settings and click on manage devices. Basically, you just need to go to add a device, which you can find that in the video section, or you can go to the manage devices section, whatever's easier. And then from here, we're just going to hit the plus button to add a new device. And since this is a video device, scroll down and click on video camera. It does see that the device is found, so if that works for you, great. Sometimes it doesn't auto-populate on here though, so you might have to get the MAC address. So I'm actually going to do the MAC address method to show you guys that need it. But down here in the bottom right below where I'm clicking there, you'll see it says enter MAC address, and then there's a little white square with some squigglies in it. If you click on that, it actually brings up your camera so that you can scan the QR code on the SVR. And now on this model, you do have to flip it over. Be careful with it because right now the hard drive is technically running, so you don't want to jostle it too much. So flip it over real nice and easy, and then get your phone in here. And we're gonna scan the QR code that's on the bottom. And once you've done so, you can just click done, and it's going to search your internet for that MAC address. Now, like I said, it's already found it on mine, so it didn't change anything on my screen. However, just make sure that the ADC SVR210 pops up there and you're good to go. So click install, and you can name it whatever you want. I'm just going to do SVR1, and then click next at the top right. And basically this is where it just starts going through its installment process. So it has to download updates for firmware. It has to double check the hard drive to make sure it's connected, things like that. So this can take up to 10 to 15 minutes depending on how fast your internet is. The faster your internet, the faster it's going to download those updates, so on and so forth. I'm just going to skip through this part for you guys so you don't have to sit here and wait, but I'll be right back once it gets through setting this up. Alright, so it is now finished downloading the updates and so on. So basically what you're going to see is it'll just pop up and it'll say next to the SVR, and so you just click that. And this is going to be where it's going to ask you any specific settings regarding the SVR210. You can set it up so that it can use a local display if you want. And so when that next page comes up, like I said, it's basically just going to ask you, would you like to connect your SVR to a display and watch live and recorded footage? So you can select yes or no. And the only difference here is if you click yes, it's going to ask you to create a custom password so that if you do connect the SVR to a display, you plug that password in and that's how you access your cameras, so on and so forth. If you click no, it just gives you a default password. So totally up to you, whatever you want to click. I'm just going to choose no for now, and then click next. And so this is as far as you can make it through the alarm.com app. Once you get to this point, you can't associate cameras with the SVR, with any SVR through the app. And I'm not sure why there's a restriction on that specifically, but from here on, everything else you're gonna want to do on the computer portal, which is gonna basically give you all of the options. So you can click on the camera that you want to add. However, when you click next, as you'll see, it just pops up and says you don't have permissions for this. Basically, it's just telling you that the app doesn't have those permissions. But regardless, this is basically where I'm going to jump over to the footage I've already captured. The operation of the SVR210 is exactly like the CSVR setup that you're going to see here in a minute. But anyway, I'll go ahead and jump over to that other footage so you guys can see how these things work. Basically, like I said, it gives you a timeline that you can view all your footage on. It'll show notifications whenever something happens to either your system or your cameras on that timeline, so you can jump to the time that you need, so on and so forth. But I'll leave it at that so you guys can see what you're getting into. But before I go, if you guys don't mind, drop a like and subscribe. It helps get our videos out there so that people can see this new equipment. There are a lot of people out there that would prefer to do DIY surveillance and alarm systems, things like that. However, they just don't know that it exists. So if you can, share this with somebody that might be interested. And otherwise, if you don't know anybody, a like and subscribe and a comment would go a long way to getting our videos out there to others that might need it. But I'll leave it at that. You guys have a good one, and I will catch you on the next one. And it's going to ask you right off the bat if you want to connect certain cameras to your account if they're already enrolled. If you don't have any cameras on your account and you're kind of starting with the SVR and then you're going to add the cameras later, I'll show you how to do that. I'm just going to go ahead and select no for this. That way I can show the whole process of adding a camera. But basically, if you click it here, it's just going to take you through the steps that we'll go through here in a moment. It's going to ask one more time, are you sure you don't want to add cameras? Again, it only asks you this if you do have cameras installed on your account already. But anyway, moving on. It just takes you back to the video device setup screen. So now, if we go back a few pages, here, we'll do it this way. We'll bring back up the video page, and then if we click on SVR timeline again, you'll see the option down here has changed. Since we do have a camera connected to the account, click here to add an SVR schedule to this account. You'll select the SVR that you're adding the device to, and then you'll select the camera up here. So if you have multiple cameras, just make sure you name them something so that you know which one is which. Just select the camera that you want to use. You can choose the resolution, low, high, or medium. Frame rate, anywhere from 2 to 10 frames per second. Quality, from reduced up to highest. So these options are mainly to determine how much space is going to be taken up by the footage from this camera. Since I'm only working with a single camera, I'm just going to choose the max options. So we're going to use high resolution, 10 frames per second, and we're going to use the highest quality possible. Now, if you have a lot of cameras and you don't have a large hard drive in there yet, it might be better to leave the resolution and the quality a little bit lower, and that way multiple cameras won't take up as much space as all of the cameras absolutely maxed out. Now, if you require very high quality for all of your cameras, you are going to have to upgrade the hard drive. I think with a 2 terabyte hard drive like this one comes in it, if you had 8 cameras running at the max, you could probably only get about 2 days worth of footage from them. So you are going to want to upgrade your hard drive if you want to max out these settings on a larger group of cameras. So once you've decided that though, just click save, and then it's going to basically add that camera to the SVR so that it knows to start recording. And once it is finished, it'll just take you to your timeline. So this is back where we started the video, but the only other thing we need to do is set up recording rules. So this is going to be the same for basically your cameras as well as the SVR cameras. Basically, you just choose the camera that you want to add a rule to, and then you're going to set up when it records, how it records, what it's going to try and record, things along those lines. Currently, there is a rule, the test room door, that you guys are going to see in a moment when I showcase the timeline setup. But anyway, we're going to delete that, and then basically we're going to just recreate a new rule doing the same thing. So once that is deleted, up here at the top right, you'll click Add New Rule, and then you can choose multiple different options as to what's going to trigger the rule. I would recommend, if you're going to have an alarm system working alongside this, to set up some of these other ones: sensor open or close, system armed or disarmed, alarm conditions, which is the standard one that you see right here in the background, alarm schedule. That one's there by default, so you don't have to set that up, but if you want to kind of customize it, you can disable this one or delete the preset one and create your own alarm condition recording rule. But we're going to do a video analytics rule because that is the primary use for this. I did have to move things around a little bit. The IQ panel is kind of in the way. But anyway, let's just choose whether we're going to use a ground zone or a tripwire for the camera. And we'll just do the same exact thing. We'll put a box around the door, so that's what it records. So we're going to do a ground zone, which just lets you select an area where the camera is going to focus on motion capture. We're just going to draw a box around the door as I had it before. So just click next until it gets to this screen, and then you can create a rule name if you want. Test room door. And then this box right here is your ground zone. So you can move this around and set it as needed. So just set that over the area where you want that camera to pick up motion. The next selection is duration inside of area of interest. So this ground zone that I created, it's asking you how long something has to be in this area before it starts recording. But right here you can select anywhere from 0.5 seconds to 120 seconds. So if you're putting this, let's say you got a driveway that you're covering and it only takes you about 30 seconds to pull into your driveway, you can set this for 45 seconds, and that way it'll only record a clip if something is in your driveway for more than 45 seconds. Now, that's probably not the best example. I feel like if it was my driveway, I would want something picked up no matter what. But anyway, you guys get the idea. So just select the duration that something needs to be in this area, and then we'll move on to the recording rule options itself. So you can set the minimum delay between clips. So if you want it to be able to take a clip every 30 seconds, you can select that, or you can change it to 15 minutes is the max. Basically, that determines how long between each clip it's going to wait before it can record a new clip on that camera. So set that as desired, and then it's going to ask, the rule will run at all times or only during the following times. So at all times is basically it's always active. Only during the following times allows you to select a schedule. So this is how you can kind of customize when your cameras are actually going to be able to pick up clips. So if something happens at the same time every day, you can kind of customize when it's going to not bother recording because something's going to be going on, so on and so forth. And then over here, you can select exceptions to the at all times or only during following times rule. So you can set it so that when the panel is disarmed, it's not going to record. When the panel is armed stay, it's not going to record. You can set up a geo device option where if my phone is inside my home or inside this building, it's not going to record, so on and so forth. And I do want to be clear, since this is attached to an SVR, it will always be recording. So all these settings regarding when the camera can record and things like that, it is specifically talking about clips and events that are taken by the camera. And moving on from there, you can select whether or not the camera status LED is going to blink whenever the camera starts to record a clip. So if you toggle this on, basically all Alarm.com cameras have an LED somewhere on them that flashes, and that's kind of just an indicator to let you know that it's recording or to let an intruder know. There's also the camera audio alert. Basically, if you enable this, it allows you to make the camera make a short audio sound. You can do like a short beep, long beep. It's got a few pre-made sounds. But basically, when the camera starts to record a clip, it just makes an audible alert, and then if you want, the LED comes on, and those two are just to let whoever is being recorded by the camera know that they're being recorded. So it's kind of a preventative measure option. And then down here, you set the minimum delay between alerts. So generally, you'll just set this at the same amount of time that you'll have your delay between clips set. But basically, that's how long it waits in between alerts before it will do that alert again, whether it's the LED or the audible sound. Now, one thing to note is the audible sound is only available on certain cameras that have two-way audio. Some cameras don't give this option, like dome cameras don't have speakers in them. So you wouldn't have that option on the dome cameras. But anyway, going on from there, you can select what it is going to record for. So send notifications for clips containing people, vehicles, animals, or other. So you can set this to whatever you desire. So if it specifically catches a person, it'll only send those. If it catches a vehicle, it'll only send clips for that. So on and so forth. Pretty straightforward. And then down at the bottom, you're going to select your notification preferences. So you can select where the notifications are going to go to, any push devices that are on your account. You can add those. You can select email notifications and SMS notifications. So set that up as you desire and then click save. And once that's saved, it just kicks you back to this screen. You can continue to add a new rule or whatever you would like to do. If you need to edit any rules, this pencil here allows you to edit them. And that is pretty much it as far as enrolling and setting up your cameras go on your SVR. So now we're going to jump back over to the beginning of my recording where I show the timeline. That way you guys can see like some full timeline footage with some clips and triggers and stuff like that. So we'll jump over to that. Alright, so now that I've shown how to enroll the SVR and attach cameras to it, we're going to take a look at the timeline footage. Essentially, once you have it enrolled and you have your cameras attached, you can go into your video settings or your video tab over here, and then up at the top you will see an SVR timeline menu that you can click on. So if we click on that SVR timeline option, basically as you can see it just takes us to another basic live view option here. I can start just playing this and it will start wherever this little red marker is down here. So you can move that around and that's basically how you scroll your timeline. But as I mentioned, I do only have the one camera on here. I believe if you have multiple cameras, it will show them very similarly to how it would on a monitor, where it would break each one up and you can click on the individual ones that you want to access. The other option would be basically a drop-down menu up here in the top left. Because I couldn't get the 522s there to enroll, they're not compatible with the SVR. I was going to have multiple cameras on here, but I don't have enough extra cameras laying around to attach to this SVR. So we're just going to have to work with the one. It should be pretty straightforward how to switch between cameras or how to view each individual camera when you get to this screen. Anyway, moving forward, for each individual camera, you do have a few options up here at the top. So on the top right, there's this blue HD button, and that allows you to enable or disable the HD option for that camera through the SVR. So right now it is recording in HD. If I click that off, it basically starts recording in standard definition. You can toggle that back and forth for each individual camera. So if there are some that you get a better view from and you don't need the higher definition, you can disable that, and that should save you some space on the SVR hard drives. Also at the top are a theater mode option and a full screen mode option. So whichever camera you have selected, if you click the theater mode, it basically brings it up like this. And then there's also, if you click the full screen, it just reduces it just takes away basically the borders, which would be the outer edges of your browser here. And then this far right top option is a keyboard shortcuts option. So as you can see, there's quite a few of them. I'm not going to go over each one. They're pretty self-explanatory. T is theater mode, F is full screen mode, E is expand and restore, N is next camera, B is previous camera, so on and so forth. This little menu here is basically just a reference for you guys so that you guys can quickly navigate your cameras, as well as scroll, enlarge, zoom in, whatever you want to do. So anytime you're in here, if you are comfortable using a keyboard to basically go through your layout, pop this menu open and use those shortcuts, and it'll basically allow you to peruse the CSVR a little bit quicker. Anyway, moving on from there, down here at the bottom left, we have the date that you are currently viewing, and you have this little 2 arrow drop down thing. It doesn't really do much, it just kind of minimizes the timeline, so it saves a little bit of space, kind of enlarges the picture a little bit. And then in the middle here, you'll see a seek back, a seek forward, and a pause and play button. Basically, that just allows you to peruse your timeline without actually physically moving this little red marker, which is the current time that you're viewing. So you can use that if you want. And then on the right here, there is a speed option, so you can choose anywhere from 1 times speed up to 8 times speed. So if you need to speed through anything that you're viewing to find a specific event or pick something up, whatever the case might be, you can speed that up there. And then right here we have hour and day. So right now mine's set to hour, and as you can see, the current time is 4:39. It is showing me from 3:35 to 4:35. So I opened the screen at 4:35, so that is basically showing me the last hour as soon as I opened this camera. If you click day here, it changes your timeline so that you can see all day from 4:35 yesterday to 4:35 today. And over here, this is the amount of time that I've had it recording. Normally, if you've had this going for multiple days, this will be all the way filled up. And on the timeline here, there are all these orange dots. Those are actual events. Those are either panel events or they are camera events. And we'll kind of break those down in a moment. But that is kind of how you choose where you want to view your camera footage. Right here next to the day option is a calendar option. So if you need to select a specific day, you click that little calendar. You can come in here, choose the day, and choose the start time for when you're going to view your footage. And then the last option here is a show sidebar, and basically what that does is it brings up an activity menu so that you can actually, all these orange events that I mentioned, it will list all of them out here with a little bit of text so that you know exactly what's happening. So as you can see, unknown object, person detection, and the time that they happened. And it basically breaks those up by day. So let me get rid of that, and then we'll take a look at the timeline itself. So as I mentioned, right now I am on the day mode, and as you can see, I have the blue line, which is my recorded footage, but I also have these orange indicators. And these first two, these actually happened yesterday before the SVR was even attached to the account. But these are panel events. So the panel motion detector, this is the IQ4 demo system that I have. But you can see the events on the panel, so if something like this happens and you just want to check your camera to see what was captured at the time of a system event rather than a video event, you can actually do that. And so the panel motion was activated, panel motion went back to idle, and then let me change this back to hour real quick, and then we'll go back a couple hours so that we can find some events. All right, so let me go back a little bit further. So here is basically when the SVR started recording. It was at 12:54 p.m. today, and you can see, as I mentioned, each of those events is showing up, and if you highlight the little circles that are above the timeline, it actually shows you via text what that event was. But right here, we'll check these two out. These are what I wanted to show, but basically I set it up so that the camera had a recording rule for anything that went across that doorway. So as you can see, it captured me there, and if I click on the event itself, it starts the time that you start viewing just a little bit before the event so that you can see everything leading up to it. And you can see I just walked by, and then a few minutes later I came back, and I'm going to speed this up to 2 times, but I came in and I moved this shelf because it was slightly in front of the door and I didn't want to interrupt any of the recorded footage, but basically scooted some stuff out of the way, and then I walked back out. So nothing super exciting as far as the video goes, but that is how you view your events. Basically, you just click on the event that you want to see per that camera, and it will show you the time leading up to that event and then everything that happened during the event. And if you need to, just scroll through, find the event that you want. As I mentioned on that little sidebar menu, if you want, you can open this up and you can just peruse events this way. So let me change this back to day real quick. And that way we have the full day's worth of events listed. If I click this, it's going to take me back to just before 2:40, where Andy walked in front of the screen there, and you can see it captured him real quick. It is still in 2x mode. That is one thing that you have to kind of get used to. If you've set it to a higher speed, it will stay in the higher speed. So if you're trying to slow things down, just make sure that you double check that before you start viewing the event. And really, that's pretty much it for the SVR timeline. It's pretty straightforward. As I mentioned, there are all these keyboard shortcuts that you can do as well. If you want to zoom in on your footage, you're welcome to. You can increase speed, reduce speed, seek, and all that just with quick keyboard shortcuts, and peruse your SVR timeline as needed. So it's pretty straightforward. It works the same way as a standard SVR. I'm going to, as I mentioned, probably set this up with a monitor and a keyboard and mouse so that we can take a look at something like that. Basically, it's going to work the same way. You just choose the camera that you want to view, and you can zoom in on it, you can do whatever you want, and check the timeline. So as I mentioned, I am recording this out of order, so this is a little bit odd, but essentially this should be the end of the video. So hopefully you guys enjoyed all of this, and if you're looking at getting a CSVR, hopefully this helps you guys set it up. They're super easy to get going. I probably mentioned this already, but the only trouble that I ran into is with our 724 camera. It didn't automatically update to the latest firmware, so I did have trouble attaching the camera to the SVR right at first. But once I took a look at the camera settings, I found out that it just needed to be updated, and as soon as it was updated, it allowed me to add it to the SVR, and it started recording 24/7. So it's pretty straightforward. But anyway, for those of you that are unfamiliar with this, hopefully it did help you. And if you have any interest in a CSVR from alarm.com, by all means, check us out at alarmsystemstore.com. We offer both the video services as well as the equipment you'll need to get everything going. So if you guys are on YouTube, give us a like and subscribe. And if you're on our website, hopefully you're finding what you need. And I will catch you guys on the next one.